What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Inhumans Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2. So this is, I believe, the very first episode that was even shown in theaters. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go see it because I didn't have the time, I didn't have the money. So I wasn't able to go see it in IMAX, which was kind of unfortunate because, frankly, one of the things that I really do like about the show so far is the cinematography is great. The area where they're shooting, it's beautiful. It's Hawaii, so of course it's beautiful. But yeah, I mean, it looks really, really nice. It's one of the few things that are really good about it. The rest of it is either just good or some of it's kind of eh. So let's talk about it. First, we have the first episode, which is Behold the Inhumans. And this one is a very introductory episode. It's pretty much showing us all of the different Inhumans. It's setting up the story, which is you've got a kingdom of Inhumans up on the moon. Apparently they're in hiding. There's some sort of like cloaking technology over their city so nobody can see them. But yeah, so they've all been living there for, it seems like a very long time. They've got this whole religion kind of thing set up where at a young age you get tested to be, okay, are you inhuman or are you human? The humans get put to work in the mines. The Inhumans live the life of luxury pretty much. So yeah, this has apparently been going on for a while. Their leader is Black Bolt. At first I thought he was a mute. He seems to have like telepathic powers whenever he touches people. But came to find out later, apparently he's the Dragonborn, which is freaking awesome because I've always wanted to... Okay, so he's not the Dragonborn per se, but yeah, whenever he talks, it's so powerful that it just moves everything. Apparently he accidentally killed his parents because he said why and just disintegrated them, which is kind of a heartbreaking story, but they told it so rushed that I didn't really feel it. Like Maximus comes in to take him at the end. He's just like, you killed our parents, and they show the flashback. So I'm saying, why? And then everything disintegrates in front of him, and then that's it. So I felt like that could have been handled a little bit better. Maybe show us that later. Maybe reveal it in such a way that nobody else knew but him and Maximus. But as it stands, it just kind of pops in and then pops out. And I'm just like, that could have been handled better. But you've got Medusa, who, just like her name suggests, she's got snake-like hair that can move on its own, and that's her inhuman power, which is pretty sick. But then she gets it all cut off, which, I'm not going to lie, I laughed. And this is leading to part of the problem that I do have with the show so far, and that is I can't tell if it's meant to be taken seriously or meant to be taken as a joke. Like some of it is supposed to be taken seriously. Like the fighting scenes are supposed to be serious. The action, the drama between them whenever Maximus is committing treason, that's all supposed to be taken seriously. But then scenes like this, where he's like, I wish you would have chosen me. Pulls out hair clippers. How can you not laugh at that? I get that it's her power. I get that, the hair, it's a big thing to her. I understand that. I get that cutting off her hair is taking away her power. But just think about the context of the situation. He's committing treason. She has turned her back on him because she chose his brother over him. Because apparently they had something when they were younger, but then she decided to go with Black Bolt instead. So this very emotional, serious scene, and then all of a sudden he pulls out hair clippers. And then it's all like slow motion. She's like, I'm sorry. It's just, there are some scenes like that feel like they're meant to be taken so seriously, the way they're treating it, the slow motion, the dramatic music, but it's so funny. So yeah, but she's the queen, married Black Bolt, chose him over his brother Maximus. You've got I'm gonna have to remember his name now. Gorgon, that's right. You got Gorgon, who apparently has superhuman strength and hooves. Kind of like a Minotaur, I think. Is that No. Centaur? No, he's more like Mr. Tumnus from Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Yeah, he's got, hooves, and he's super strong. Whenever he fights the bad guys, you can see, like, he's stomping the ground, and everything around him is pretty much like an earthquake almost. You've got Karnak, who, in my opinion, so far is my favorite. Some of his lines have not landed, but then some of them really have. Like there's this one weird scene where he's talking to a servant who's helping him, and he's just like, with your beauty, we'd have so much fun the first night, but then by the second night, I'd be wondering, is it okay to be with a servant right now, because of your position? And then by the third night, it will have killed you. And I'm just like, that feels like it was supposed to be funny, but it just didn't really work. But then there's a scene later on where Lockjaw, the dog, teleports him to Hawaii and leaves him like in the middle of this jungle. And he's just like, stupid dog. That was a funny line, but then the other one wasn't. So some of it has worked and some of it hasn't. But what's really cool about him is his power. There's a scene where the guard, I guess, the people that are guarding the king, have turned and have started following Maximus. So they go down to take care of him. And you see him fight him off. He's fighting. His fight scenes were not the best. It was a lot of grab, punch, grab, punch. It was kind of slower than, some of the other scenes that we saw. Gorgon's scene was freaking awesome. He's like stomping the ground, knocking everybody, and then like jumps and kicks. So the fighting wasn't the best, but he's fighting them all off, and then finally knocks out the last guy, but there's still one who's kind of looking like the leader of this little bunch, shoots him, kills him, and he goes down to the ground. And all of a sudden he starts like walking around, and you see like little rings, and it looks like he's analyzing the scene like, well, that didn't work. Let's try this again. And so goes through the fight scene, but this time grabs a gun and shoots the guy before he can shoot him. That's freaking awesome. And I don't know exactly how it works yet, because we see in the second episode he falls off a cliff. He doesn't get to reverse that, but somehow he reverses that scene. And then on top of that, it looks like whenever he fell, it looks like that messed something in his brain. And so he's trying to like use some of his powers to guide himself around with a compass, but then he ends up right back where he landed. So I'm not really sure how his powers work. If that's like something going on inside of his mind in this scene where he's like fighting them in his mind and then realizes, okay, well, that wouldn't work. So, let's try shooting the guy at the end. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be or not, but it looks freaking awesome. He's got to be my favorite one as far as his powers are concerned. And then you've got Crystal, who, in my opinion, is the worst actress on the show. Look no further than the scene where she gets taken in by Maximus because she has Lockjaw take Medusa away, and then they capture her. Take her into this room where Black Bolt was sitting earlier. Lockjaw comes in and is about to teleport her away, but then whoever, he's got some sort of ability to, mess with the mind, and I guess, I don't know exactly what he does, but he's got, glowing hands, and he can mess with your mind. So he does that to Lockjaw and makes him fall unconscious. And just her reaction, no, and, grabs his hand. Lockjaw, wake up. Wake up, Lockjaw. Come on, wake up. And she's just saying that while Max is just, take her to her room. Just, it's not quite Tommy Was So bad, but the no was pretty bad. It was close to Tommy Was So. No. Oh, it was cringeworthy. Her powers, though, I'm not really sure what they are. At one point, she seems like she has the ability to make things set ablaze, but then there's another scene where she's sitting on her bed and she's playing with this ball, and all of a sudden starts freezing. So I'm not sure if maybe she just has elemental powers, but yeah, we haven't seen much of it, but there are a couple scenes that are pretty cool. There's one scene where, what's her name? I gotta get these names down. It's gonna take me a second, but I will eventually get all of these down. Auron. How could I forget Auron? It's like Auron from Final Fantasy X. But she comes in with this tray of food, and Crystal just makes it explode, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So, but she is definitely the worst actress on the show. Actor overall, not just male or female. And then, of course, you've got Maximus, who is setting up to be the main antagonist for this season. Like I said, brother of Black Bolt. He's a human. And so you could see already, it's perfectly set up. You've got a human who is being treated poorly by other people because even though he's a human, he's got this life of luxury, unlike the rest of the humans who are suffering and slaving away. So people hate him for that, but he's not exactly happy with it either. He feels left out because he doesn't have these powers. So it's a good setup for a story, to be honest. And what really makes me interested in all of this is the fact that it doesn't feel like he's wrong. It does sort of feel like everything that they've got set up on this planet, this whole like, oh, and humans are superior, humans are inferior, making them work in the mines, making them slaves. That's not right. And yet those are supposed to be our protagonists for this season. I'm kind of confused to see exactly how they're going to handle this. If maybe being on Earth will help them see we're all the same, and humans are no different than humans. They've just got more abilities. I don't know. I'll be very curious to see how they're going to handle that. But Maximus, he's fairly interesting. I do kind of like his speech pattern because it almost feels like almost an old James Bond villain type of persona. You're just very blunt, very monotone at times, just in the way he speaks and stuff. It's a perfect setup for a supervillain, but at the same time, he doesn't really feel like a supervillain. So it kind of gets mixed up a little bit, but I still do enjoy his character so far. But as far as the first episode is concerned, I pretty much already spelled it all out. Maximus is starting to take over. This, I guess, brother and sister are having their first Terrigen crystal, are you inhuman, are you not ceremony. The daughter comes out and she's got like these beautiful butterfly wings. Everybody's like, ooh, how pretty. And then the brother comes out, I think it's the brother, and he's like, I feel the same. Until Maximus touches him, and all of a sudden he gets a vision of the future, of Maximus's future. And so because his isn't external, he's actually put to work in the mines. And I find that very interesting because it's almost like, you really think about it, it's almost like how humans are treated. Inhumans are acting the same way. Oh, your powers are internal, not external, so we don't acknowledge you as inhuman, even though he is technically just as inhuman as the rest of them. So I do find that concept very interesting, but ultimately Maximus sees that he has the power to see the future and sees this as an opportunity to overthrow the kingdom, which he uses. He sees that he can use his power to see, all right, what's in my future. At one point the Genetics Council is plotting against him, and I can't remember the kid's name now. It's a very difficult name to pronounce. Bernaja is his name. So Bernaja sees that the Genetics Council is plotting against him, and so Maximus takes that moment to go and threaten them and say, think about what happened to the guy that I killed earlier. That's in the second episode, though. But yeah, so he's overthrowing the kingdom. All of our main characters make it to Earth, except for Crystal, who's still stuck on the planet. And that's pretty much where the first episode leads off, is with all of them on Earth in Hawaii. You've got Gorgon is on the beach with all of these surfers. You've got Karnak is in the jungle trying to find his way around. You've got Medusa is in this big crater, and then you've got Black Bolt ends up in the middle of the city. So very interesting way to end the first episode with all of them sort of separated. And the second episode picks up right off where it was left off. You've got all of them dealing with their different locations. Karnak, like I said, falls off the cliff, and it seems like his fall affected his mental powers. I will look forward to seeing more about that because I want to know how it works. I want to know how he manages to do all that cool stuff because it looks freaking awesome. But yeah, so clearly his mind is messing with him. At the end of the episode, he's still where he began after he fell. Gorgon, he was on the beach. He was rescued by some surfers in the water. They start saying, oh, so you're one of those Inhumans, right? And they start talking a little bit. And I do like this part of it because he's just like probably most of our main characters. He's very, oh, you humans are so petty and so violent and all that stuff. And these guys are just like there to help him. Like, what the heck, dude? We just saved your life and you're really going to trash talk us like that? But ultimately, he tells them what's going on, tells them that he came from the moon. The guys kind of take him seriously, but at the same time, I don't know if they really are or if they're just, acting like whatever. But they tell Gorgon, if you're a fighter, why not bring the fight to you? And so Gorgon's like, yeah, why not? He calls Maximus and says, I'm going to leave my communicator on so you can come and we can do this and we can fight. So, yeah, they don't come at the end of the episode. Maximus is too busy setting up the rest of the stuff on the moon. But it is set up for kind of probably going to be an intense battle later on, so I'm looking forward to that. Medusa, we see her getting on a tour bus with some people. She's just kind of there trying to figure out where Black Bolt is, trying to reconnect with him. At one point, Crystal gets a communicator from Orin, which she stupidly thinks, oh, hey, yeah, that was clearly on accident, even though Orin has already been built up as kind of this badass, like, not making any mistakes type of person. So she calls Medusa, and Medusa's like, she's not that dumb. She's using this to track me. She's like, it's okay, and then throws it and stomps it on the ground. But Orin does see that and goes to track her down. Ultimately, she gets to the truck stop, which I'm like, why would you go there? Maybe you're trying to track her, but there's a good chance she's probably not there anymore. But another scene that's just kind of funny in the midst of trying to be serious. She gets on the tour bus that Medusa is on, and the guy's like, hey, you can't be on here, and grabs her arm, and she just turns and snaps his neck. And I'm like, that should be really serious. I mean, she just killed a guy, but just the fact that grabs her arm, snap the neck. She's so freaking serious. And it's kind of funny. I mean, just think about that. I mean, obviously, death should never be funny. And I say that, and I'm working for a company that does murder mystery dinner theaters. But anyway, it should never be funny. But this is almost like you're trying to make her seem like she is such this serious, badass character. Don't touch me. Snap the neck. I'm like, who is that serious? If you seriously killed everybody who touched you, there would be a bunch of dead bodies in your wake. But yeah, so she does that, and then despite all of that badassness, she and Medusa fight. Medusa can't fight without her hair, but she sneaked a razor off a guy, and so she sneak attacks, stab, and kills her. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally convinced the badass character was just here for these 2 episodes. She's done now. She's never coming back. Clearly she's coming back. But Medusa manages to get one more call in to Black Bolt. This is when he's in jail. I'll get to that later. But she does manage to get one more call off and just sort of tell him, I'm coming for you. We're going to get back to our planet, and we're gonna take our city back. And so she leaves Orin like that. The end of the episode, the after credits scene, if you will. We see her, of course, get off the truck. She's still alive. Takes the knife out of her. And then, as if the name Orin wasn't Final Fantasy X enough for you, she does the that little like prayer thing that they did in Final Fantasy X, and apparently that's what she does to heal her wounds. I don't know if they did that as like a joke, like, hey, her name's Orin, and now they're doing the however they do it. I can't remember now. It's been a little while. So, yeah, just another kind of, is this supposed to be serious or is this supposed to be funny? Because I'm kind of taking that as a funny joke. Orin doing the ceremony thing. I don't know. But that's pretty much it for Medusa. And then we see Black Bolt, the last one to talk about. I don't really know how to take him. Because we see in the first episode, we see why he can't talk. But he seems somewhat intelligent. But then in this episode, he's walking around. He sees that he needs new clothes because everybody else is not dressed like him. So he goes into a tailor. They're like, all right, let's get you fitted out in some new clothes. He gets fitted out and then just tries to leave, even though she's like, stop, you have to pay for that. You do understand English. I mean, we know he understands English. The Inhumans speak English. So why doesn't he understand? He just walks out. The guard tries to stop him. He snaps his hand and walks out. All these cops are showing up. He snaps the hand of another guard and handcuffs him. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? And then the cops show up. They start wailing on him, and he's fighting back. And then one of them tasers him, and he lets out a little bit of a breath, like a ugh, and that knocks the car like 50 feet, which, yeah, that's pretty intense. But I don't understand, because after all of this, after all the fighting, everything he's done, ultimately, they take him to the station. He's not being responsive. And at some point, he's like, hey, if he ever takes those handcuffs off again, he's going to regret it this time. And he takes the handcuffs off. And they're like, whoa. And then he's just like, all right, we're going to take your picture and take you to lockup. He's like, puts the handcuffs down, stands up to go to get his picture taken. I'm like, so what was all that before? Like, why do all of that and then just randomly like, oh, okay, well, I guess you guys got me now. I'm done. I had a little freak out, but I'm done now. All right, we're just gonna go over here and yeah, let's have my picture taken. I'm gonna go take him to jail, and we're all good now. I don't understand. I don't understand why he's so uncooperative, unresponsive, just beating people up, not being taken in, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I'm good now. Let's go, guys. We're good here. We're done. I had my little fighting session. We're done now. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. And ultimately, that's kind of how this show feels overall. There are some funny parts. There are some very cool parts. There are some amazingly cinematic parts. But then there are some parts that are just kind of like, that was weird. The slow motion is used kind of intermittently, and sometimes it's not used very well. The fight between Medusa and Orin was a very good example of that. It's just, she runs up and all of a sudden grabs her, throws her on the car, and then fight. I'm just like, why are we doing slow motion? Well, is it really that difficult to shoot a fight scene? I mean, this is Marvel. They know how to shoot fight scenes. So I don't know. It's just sometimes it's weird, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's awesome. It's kind of a strange show so far. I'm looking at IMDb right now, and not great. 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.9, 6.8. Not great, but at the same time, this is the same app that has Arrow is like 8 point something right now, and Supergirl is 8 point something, and both of those shows are complete crap. So I don't really trust IMDb's ratings most of the time, but at the same time, the fact that it's pretty low, I can understand a little bit of it, because it's not quite there as far as Marvel shows are concerned. It's not Daredevil standard, it's not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Jessica Jones standard. I mean, even Iron Fist is probably slightly better than this, just because it's a little bit more serious, I suppose. So I don't know, maybe the tone will be figured out sometime through this season. Maybe it'll take this first season before they finally get their footing and go. I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the first season wasn't great. It was okay. But after the first season, it really got going. It really got good. Maybe for Inhumans, it's just going to take, let's get through the first season. Let's find our footing, and then let's go. But first they have to find a tone. They have to find out, all right, what is our show going to feel like? Is it going to be serious? Is it going to be funny? Is it going to be a good mixture? Is it going to be weird? They got to figure that out first, because right now it's just kind of tonally confused. So maybe it'll get better in the next few episodes. We'll see. But my plan is, because there are 6 episodes in right now, my plan is to go 2, 2, and 2, just to sort of keep it to where I don't have to try to remember every little story piece from every episode, but still trying to get done as fast as possible. So that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the first 2 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Inhumans reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.